Okay, so today's topic is Hyper-V, and let's talk about it. Let's implement that. Since we have not a very long time to implement the labs, and it's gonna take a little tricky. There are some steps that are going to be a bit tricky, and why they're tricky. So let me just get back to our environment. Oops, not this one. So just gonna create a new one. So if we have two servers here, and one is DC, although today we just need one server, one member machine, a member server. So it's DC DNS always. Just put the roles there. And second is the member server, which means that it's just run to the domain, but it does not have Active Directory. So on this member server or server 2, we're going to be deploying Hyper-V role higher, not higher, Hyper-V role. And for this, the reality is that we have already VMware Workstation, right? So different vendors when they have the same solution, they don't let each other's solution run in their environment, right? So we are working with VMware Workstation environment. Do you have experience with VMware Workstation before? You have, oh yeah, you're just here in the academy, so you would know that, right? So VMware Workstation, inside VMware Workstation, we can install Hyper-V if we fool VMware Workstation into thinking that's not Hyper-V we're installing, right? So and also, at home you can do that. If you have laptops with you, you can just implement that here. So what we are doing is, first of all, what is hypervisor? So if we go, and then we're going to talk about VMware Workstation and Hyper-V and Zen server from Citrix, and there's a Red Hat from Red Hat. Also, they have their own virtualization solution. I just forgot that name. So KVM is actually, this is the KVM switch through which you connect from, multiple displays. But that's another one. So KVM switch, we normally use KVM over IP. KVM switches are normally used for multiple displays through one monitor. So one monitor is there, and you want to go for multiple displays there, and you want to just press a button to go from 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what KVM does, right? But it's not. You're sure about Red Hat? It's called KVM, but I don't think it's.
Mistake my name.
Okay.
I didn't think you'd go into that depth.
Okay. So no, KVM is widely used in all networks. It's just that maybe it's not that. So there's Google Sensei there. So for Red Hat users, that they would know that what's a virtualization solution. But anyway, let's go with first hypervisor. So what is hypervisor? Okay, if I start creating, so there are two machines here, and one machine has first operating system, OS. Hypervisor. Seriously? So okay, thank you for this, and I love this duster. Cool. Anyway, so hypervisor. See, before class we must have Tim Hortons. If you have double, that's even better. I mean, your energy is double, right? So anyway, so hyper. So if we so this is a physical machine, suppose, and or as a physical machine, because we're not talk about hypervisor. So there's operating system you've installed. On top of operating system, we have installed some kind of hypervisor on top of operating system. Either it could be VMware Workstation or Hyper-V. So, and there is another from Oracle. Anyone knows that? Exactly. VirtualBox. That's also on top of an operating system. So again, the point is it's on top of VirtualBox. What else? Do you know of any other that is installed on top of an operating system and that works like an hypervisor, or you install virtual machines inside that? Anyone knows other than these? So there's VMware Workstation, Hyper-V, VirtualBox. Okay, again, operating system is there, and then on top of that, now you install virtual machines, and inside virtual machines you install your own OSs. Maybe one virtual machine is Windows 2008, second virtual machine is Windows 2012, third virtual machine is Linux CentOS. It could be anything, right? So you can go ahead and install any number of VMs here. Virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3. Now this is again when I draw a line or lines just to get a concept clear. There is first an OS, which means OS is all in order to run, it's going to use three things. Let me just draw the lines first. Let's then categorize them. So there is OS will use processing for it to run. OS will use memory, and OS will use, wow, that's tomorrow class student is also just filling the form now. Somehow, now is the time. Anyway, sorry. So processing, memory, and what else it is using? Processing, memory, hard disk, NIC also, network card also, but it's not that. When we talk about traffic, so OS is using that. Then the hypervisor, whichever hypervisor you install, either VMware Workstation, Hyper-V, or VirtualBox, it's using for its running OS. And then whatever virtual machines you have installed, they are using also their share of memory, processing, hard disk, right? So if now we have another hypervisor, now I'm gonna start typing again, but this time I need you to tell me what's the difference here. Hypervisor, VM1, VM2, VM3, VM4. Virtual machines, and on top of the virtual machines, whatever OS you install, on top of that OS, whatever app you install. So it is also here, OS, and then on top of OS, whatever app you installed, right? So if I start drawing a line here now, so you would see a difference here, or you're already seeing a difference here, but you can tell me what's the difference now. And it is also, this is using memory, hard disk, and this is using memory and hard disk. These lines are so cool. Okay, let's just get rid of them. So what do you see a difference here? So again, memory processing is being used by this OS, and again memory processing being used by this hypervisor. So first of all, there are two types of hypervisors. One is type 1 and type 2. So type 1 is the hypervisor that is directly installed on the hardware, and it is dedicated to just offer virtual machines, all the hardware, and it's dedicated for virtual machine or virtualization, right? Type 1 is the hypervisor. So if I go now like this, type 1 hypervisor. So I'm just gonna at once ask questions to everyone. What is type 1, and say it in your own words now. So type 1 hypervisor installs directly on bare metal.
So it is the operating system, right?
It is it has very small footprint. It does not consume any, or very less, it consumes very less processing memory and hard disk. It is kind of an operating system, but its main purpose is to let the virtual machines run. Type 1. Type 2 is type 2 hypervisor. It does also let the machines run. What's the difference? Now you can see type 2 hypervisor installs on top of an OS, and the OS is this can be used just for this physical machine, can be used just for virtual machines, or you're installing a type 2 hypervisor plus you can install something other than any other application, DNS, DHCP, file server, print server. You can do a multiple usage. But then this means that when you install this type 2 hypervisor, it's not going to give performance. Not much memory processing, hard disk will be available. Hard disk may be available, maybe you have terabytes of hard disk, but memory and processing are always something that every virtual machine needs that, every virtual machine always asks that. So when these virtual machines need that VM and processing, so operating system just for its running, it's consuming some of the hardware. This means lesser amount of hardware is available for these virtual machines. But here, type 1 hypervisor, very small software called hypervisor, and let's talk about this as well. Type 2 hypervisor software is VMware Workstation, Hyper-V, and VirtualBox, right? So what is type 1 hypervisor examples? VMware has a type 1 hypervisor called ESXi. Microsoft has a type 1 hypervisor called, again, Hyper-V. Citrix has a type 1 hypervisor called Zen Server. And Red Hat also has type 1 hypervisor. There are some other unknown companies for now, but they could be known companies. But what's going on here is that you can either dedicate a physical server just for offering virtualization solution, right? Just for the running of VMs on top of. So if the host is consuming less hardware, all the hardware is available for the virtual machines. But if you go for type 2 hypervisor, you're not dedicating this hardware for virtual machines. You want it to be multi-purpose. Or maybe you don't have that experience to go ahead and directly install a hypervisor on a bare metal machine and then go ahead remotely connect from Windows 7, Windows 8, and then try to configure that. So if you install ESXi on a bare metal machine, it's a very small software. It has very small footprint, does not consume much processing memory, hard disk, but you have to go to another system, Windows 7, Windows 8, and then connect remotely to the hypervisor. Or suppose now you have hundreds of these, 100 type 1 hypervisors. There is a central software by VMware, there's a central software by Microsoft, and by Citrix, whichever product you're using. So by VMware, there's a central software called vCenter, right? Through vCenter, you can have control hundreds of those physical machines that are using this type 1 hypervisor that is just dedicated to host virtual machines. So here in type 2, so now question is, we are using type 1 hypervisor every day in our class, true or false? True or false? We are using type 1 hypervisor every day in our class. So you say false. Anyone else? I'm just taking for now answers. You're saying false. Anyone else want to take part in this?
Oh, hold on a second. True. Because in class we here, right?
In the class we are using type 1 hypervisor. Is it a true or false? I'm not
True.
putting answer here. And don't be confused. Be confident.
True. Okay, then false. False. Fine.
Okay, this next time I'm just going to say, tell me by signals. Yes, true means this and false means this. So sometimes you get okay, yes, Matthew, true or false? Type 1 hypervisor? Huh?
I have no idea what this is.
So let's talk again then, because everyone has to understand this. Type 1 hypervisor. So I'm going to ask again, right?
Hold on a second. I thought you said that these are all 10 clients here. That's why I'm confused.
No, so I'm just going to explain now. First of all, we are using type 2 hypervisor here. What is type 2 hypervisor again? Quickly.
Type 2 sits on top of the operating
It's top of the operating system.
Sits on top of the operating system. So,
Which we have right now.
sits
Windows
on
7.
yeah. So are we using VMware Workstation on top of a operating system, or are we using VMware Workstation on top of just a hard disk, an empty machine?
Top of our
Top
operating
of the
system.
On top of Windows 7, we just installed. we did not just install, it is there, VMware Workstation or VirtualBox, right? So this means it's a type 2 hypervisor. We are using type 2 hypervisor, which sits on top of an operating system, right? If we want to use type 1 hypervisor, we have to do that course of VMware, vSphere, v6, DCV. That's a tough course. So we get to know just a drop in the ocean of how virtualization works when we are using VMware Workstation. When we really go inside the world of ESXi, then huge amount of companies across the globe, they have presence and they are doing VMware, they are using vSphere hypervisor type 1 there, because they have hundreds of physical machines, and on those physical machines, on top of those physical machines, there are hundreds of virtual machines. So let me just create that in another way, so we can just make it more clearer. If there are more errors, that means it's clearer. Okay, anyway, so if I just go for that diagram here, yeah, this one. Okay, so there is Hyper-V 1 and Hyper-V 2. So we have virtual machines on top of this Hyper-V physical machine, and we have 3 virtual machines on top of this, right? So now you can just tell me in your own words what is type 1 and type 2. So again, and now I'm gonna go a little faster here. So type 2. So first of all, what is hypervisor? Can anyone tell me? Hypervisor manages virtual machines. So type 1 hypervisor will you will install directly on the hardware, type 1. Type 2 you will install on top of a operating system, right?
Yeah.
So first thing should be very clear. Type 1 directly on a physical server without operating system. So when you start an operating system, when you start a physical machine and you don't have an operating system, what do you do? I mean, hey, what do I do? So you get a DVD, you get a USB drive, you put the DVD inside this DVD-ROM or USB, boot from the DVD and install that type 1 hypervisor, because it installs directly on the hardware, right? While type 2 hypervisor, the easiest one, which we are using just now, is type 2 hypervisor is on top of the operating system. So type 2, and we can just install here Windows operating system here, type 2 Windows OS here, but here there is no OS, it's just directly VMware ESXi or Hyper-V only. So directly you install on top of a hardware, type 1, and this is on top of the operating system. So
What's the benefit of type 1?
so benefit of type 1 is that
What's the difference for
yeah,
users?
for the users, exactly, the speed. Virtual machine start. So right now, if we start a third virtual machine on our type 2 hypervisor, which is on top of a operating system, third machine, maybe we will be able to start. Fourth machine is gonna slow down, and then we cannot even click. So performance, main thing is performance. That's it. In type 1 hypervisor, it's there is a very small operating system. We cannot call it it's a hypervisor. It just lets virtual machines sit on top of it. That's it. So small software that lets only virtual machines sit on top of it. So all the rest of the hardware, memory, processor, hard disk will be only available for virtual machines. There is no big operating system starting first, then all the MS Office may be installed there. We have so many applications installed there, right? They're all, when they load, they are using hard disk, they are using memory, even if we don't double click them. So to some extent they are using, just for their loading, the memory processing and hard disk, right? So the main thing, if you have type 1, virtual machines will start fast, will work fast, hundreds of users can connect here to this virtual machine, and it has more memory to run on, more processing to work faster, multitasking, and more hard disk space to sit on, and also use the IOPS or input output per second for hard disk read and write. So type 1 hypervisor, always faster virtual machines, because you don't have anything, they're sitting on top of very small software, and that's the only software that is between them and the hardware, that's all. So fast, start fast, run fast, and shut down. Type 2, it's operating system first loads, then the applications load, then the virtual machine loads. So there's so much using first operating system load memory. Hey, I need memory, I'm operating system, and I need processing, I'm operating system. Okay, you got yours? Okay, thank you. Now the applications, then the virtual machines. So pretty slow for performance. If you want to dedicate a machine for virtualization, don't go for type 2 hypervisor, which sits on top of an operating system. Don't go for that in the production environment. So you join a company as a system administrator with 30 per hour and above. So you're told, the boss says right away, hey, we have 2 empty physical machines. Can you just install type 2 hypervisor? But we want to dedicate these 2 physical machines just for virtualization. So you would at once correct the boss. I think you mean type 1 hypervisor, sir. So then he says, okay, I don't know, what's the difference? I heard that type 2 is better. No, sir, the difference is that we get to have just one hypervisor between virtual machines and the hardware. And that's not going to consume memory. Other one, if you want multi-purpose, then go for operating system and some role, file server, print server, right?
So you meant to say type 1, it's like an operating system?
So it's like hypervisor. It's not an operating system full in the definition of an operating system, but it just lets,
But it boot up and
it boots
pops
up and it offers,
all the whatever that we have created virtual machines.
Yeah. But it does not come in the definition of an operating system.
What is the definition of operating system?
So it runs all the hardware with all the multiple software that you want to put. This is just dedicated for one virtual machine.
Like example,
We can just
from-
go wiki for the operating system definition, but you cannot call it operating system.
but it-
It says just an hypervisor that is dedicated to host virtual machines. That's it.
Let's say I
No
have-
other purpose. Sorry.
I want to create a printer server.
So,
Or printer server,
no way.
Virtual machine.
Yeah, yeah. In
In a virtual machine.
a virtual machine. So this is a print server,
So-
suppose. Yeah.
So there's a print server. There's like applications like text.
There-
vir-
yeah.
A virtual machine.
There's another
So
virtual
the
machine.
User will use it.
Exactly.
So I will put a type 1 hypervisor, and then I can add printer server and application server.
So exactly.
Like not server, I meant to say
Virtual machines.
machine.
So if you're given that job, so let's go start with that. First physical server, empty one. You get a ESXi DVD, and then put it there in the server. Install the hypervisor, and then you go to your laptop where but when you install the hypervisor, you put the static IP and the name of that, right?
So that's
Once you put the static IP, now you can connect remotely from Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, and then you will have all the options. Want to create a new machine, virtual machine, it will offer you those options there, right? So we're going to do that here, type 2 hypervisor for Hyper-V at least. But when you do the VMware course, then you will understand, oh, that's how we remotely connect to one physical machine, and then we create virtual machines 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then install operating system inside all those virtual machines.
Currently, our virtual machines are sitting on our server 2012.
In your office. So that's type 2.
Type 2
This means it's multi-purpose.
So much.
Either it is multi-purpose or the guy who set it up
Didn't know what these things.
doesn't have an idea that we have Hyper-V free available. Microsoft has put it free. The hypervisor type 1 Hyper-V is free now. It's since 2012 it released, it's free. Just
How can you install this application as a
You
not
know.
operating system but as a log?
so just download that ISO, burn it on a DVD. It's going to boot from DVD and it's going to start installation.
You can think of it as an operating system,
Yeah.
just like Linux, but don't tell your interviewer that's an operating system.
It's theoretically it's not an
Can
operating
you do
system.
the
yeah.
dual boot? Like
On hypervisor,
like the one
on type 1, no way.
like say I have C drive and D drive, usually you need to install that. If I install the C drive
You're going to test it, right?
dual boot,
Mhm.
which is hypervisor 1,
Mhm.
and C drive I install Windows X 7. Can I do that?
Why would you want to do that? Because you want to test it, right?
I want to see, let's say, home computer, my home
Yeah,
computer.
yeah.
Right
You want
now.
to test it.
So I want to just whenever I want to use the full speed of the
Hmm.
computer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Go as a
Yeah, hypervisor does not recognize the, another operating system unless you have a separate boot options, any software that you install that recognizes boot options or let you boot from disk 1 and just disable disk 2 and then let you boot from disk 2 and disable disk 1 or redirect you to some disk, right?
You can do that. However, to manage it, you need a separate computer. Okay. Because we need to remote into it, right?
Yeah. So, but this is good testing. What we are about to do, inside type 2, we can create an empty virtual machine and install type 1 hypervisor there.
I want to see that.
Yeah. So this is how we gave all VMware course.
Makes sense.
We created 4 to 6 machines there. You just need to have a very good hardware for that, good memory and good processing. That's why I'm saying
I have-
Because end up
Sorry?
sitting also on the OS from the OS to
exactly. So you can see who is taking much memory. Yeah.
So if I don't install the hypervisor 1 and 2, what's gonna happen?
So you cannot use virtual machines then, right? So if we are if I'm showing this right now VMware Workstation here, right? So it is running on top of Windows 7. So if I want to use one machine simultaneously, second machine, third machine, fourth machine simultaneously at the same time, then I need either this is type 2 hypervisor. It's sitting on top of an operating system. But I can just remove my Windows 7, format it, and then install just a small software which is either ESXi or Hyper-V type 1, and then install only virtual machine on top of that. So it's just to put virtual machines, and on one virtual machine you can install file server, on second virtual machine you can install web server, third virtual machine Citrix, fourth virtual machine something else, keep installing something.
So how many users you could give access?
That's a good question. So how many users can connect now?
You're saying 5,000.
No, that's
Why don't you have
not-
that many administrators?
So have one physical machine, suppose you gave it 128 GB of memory, quad core processor with latest new generation, and hard disk all SSDs. If that's like high end, really high end, like $3,000 to $5,000 server, then you can put there I think more than 20 virtual machines. Each virtual machine is having at least, if you give them 8 GB, so when one virtual machine 8 GB, you can do the math. How many virtual machine you can give, so it will fill up the 128 GB RAM on that physical machine.
The hypervisor 1.
Hypervisor.
So they have
Yeah.
a software, you're saying Citrix.
Exactly.
Okay, so some other client support,
Yeah.
some other vendor support.
Mm-hmm. So see this. They're going to connect now. I need to do a course on Visio here. So I want to insert a line. Oh, there it is, man.
And
Okay.
16 gigs per computer,
6.
per virtual machine.
So if we have 128 gigs and if we have 20 machines, right? If we have 20 machines, it could go for 40 machines. Hey, we have enough memory. Let's go ahead. But if your users are connected, that's a very good question you put. That hey, if we have like 1,000 users, so there are so many users connecting to this virtual machine. This is suppose a file server, and there are 4,000 users connecting. So they are using network first of all, which is okay. You have gigabit network cards. Then they are putting files there, so you must have also hard disk space. They are not turning on and off applications directly there, right? So memory still is okay. 16 GB is more than enough there. So you can have like 2,000, 3,000 users connected to this machine, and it's going to work still. Virtual machine. If you have high-end memory, processor, and hard disk there, right?
So it's not going to affect like how big the software is?
So if you're running a software directly on one of the virtual machines, suppose there's a banking software. So users are just opening the client, but its major software is on this virtual machine. Now you need very good memory. Maybe other machines you're giving 8 GB. This machine you're giving 32 GB. Virtual machine you're giving 32 GB, right?
Yeah.
So this and users are actually opening this application. There's a database inside this virtual machine. So you're gonna see all the performance, that how much processor it is asking from hypervisor. Hey hypervisor, I am banking application, so I need more processor, more memory, more hard disk. Hypervisors are smart enough to actually even give more memory processing and especially memory and processing if a virtual machine needs it. But you can connect 2000, 3000, 4000 users. If the application is also heavy on the virtual machine, then you have to provide from the hardware more memory to that specific virtual machine and put less virtual machine memory to other virtual machines, right? There is another very cool option here. If this virtual machine needs more memory now, for 2 hours, next 2 hours, this virtual machine needs more memory. And this virtual machine are sitting idle, other virtual machines. They all have 16 GB, right? But this virtual machine needs desperately 8 GB more. So hypervisor will grab some memory from this machine and give it to this machine. And this machine, this middle machine is using that memory. Oh, I need more memory. Okay, 8 GB more. Hyper-V will grab some memory from here. Oh, you're not using memory, right? So it's going to grab memory from here and give it to this virtual machine. And this virtual machine used up all the memory. Then after 2 hours, all the users just went home. So the machine doesn't need it. Hypervisor will automatically detect that this machine does not need a lot of memory. It's not consuming anymore. So it's going to take back that memory and give it to the other machines which had that memory. This is, this is how much smart hypervisor is. In VMware, this solution is called DRS, Distributed Resource Scheduler. And in vCenter, you configure that. This is a centralized software. In Hyper-V in Microsoft, this is a solution in SCVMM, System Center Virtual Machine Manager. That's a separate software, and you pay for that, right? And make Microsoft richer. Yeah.
For a scheduler, does it mean that at a certain time I can tell it to do that automatically?
So there are levels. We can select fully automated.
Okay.
Then it's going to just think, oh, you need more? Take it. Oh, you don't need it? Okay, I'm giving it back to where I took it from. It's smart enough.
Yeah, load balance.
So this is all automation. That's why so many administrators are kicked out. Oh, I should not say that. Okay. Anyway, so if it's a lot of manual work, much more humans are involved. When it's automated, then it's machines involved. Okay. So anyway, we get to know what is type 1 hypervisor, type 2 hypervisor, right? Type 1 is installed directly on the hardware. Type 2 is installed on top of an operating system. It is slower. Type 1 is faster, right? Type 1 is dedicated for just virtual machines. Type 2 could be multi-purpose, right? So type 2 is on top of an operating system. Plus, okay, I want to install another DNS server. Oh, I want to install another file server. Because I'm a small company, right? If I'm a big company, okay, I want this particular machine dedicated just for extra virtual machines on top of that, right? So in our case, we're going to use type 2 we already are using type 2 hypervisor. Yeah.
So means you don't need a license for
If it's free,
any
no.
operating system, like
Uh,
for hypervisor type 1.
No. When you install, suppose I said Hyper-V hypervisor is free. Hypervisor itself is free.
Yeah, but
Then you install virtual machine, which is free.
Which is free.
Then you install operating system, get a license for that,
Then you
man.
license, but
Yeah.
you say one license, I can
Exactly, one license per operating system.
But you will still say one license of main.
Oh yeah. You're still saving, and it is also which version of Windows support that.
I got it.
Windows Data Center supports unlimited virtual machines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Windows Standard 2. Then
Foundation, nothing.
yeah, Windows
Foundation.
Foundation, yeah, nothing exactly. So data center, you must have that's why we are from the start having data center, right? Although we're not going to use that extensively this, right? So we get to know what is type 1, type 2. Now second thing, our dilemma now. We just need to, we should get used to doing some difficult things as well, tricky things as well. So we will start thinking sharper that way. So what we need to do now is yeah, but if I have a server here, so if I draw this as well, and this is a server on top of which we're going to be installing Hyper-V. Okay, what's going on here? First here is first there is our operating system, which is Windows 7. Now we're talking about our machines. Then we have, so I'm just gonna put it somewhere else. On top of Windows 7, we have VMware Workstation. Right now what we have, right? So on top of Windows 7 we have VMware Workstation. Now on top of VMware Workstation, we are creating, we have two virtual machines now, two VMs. So I'll just put it this way: one VM, two VM. Now on top of this VM, we have not from there, so I'm just gonna get it again. We already are doing that lab, or we are working on that for some time now. On top of this VM, we have Windows 2012 R2 installed, right? So it gets crazier, of course. Now, so on top of this Windows VM, each VM has Windows 2012. Now on top of this Windows 2012, we're gonna add the role called, we have added the role DNS, we have added the role Active Directory, we have added the role DHCP, we worked on all that, right? Now we're adding the role Hyper-V. And on top of this Hyper-V, this is called nested virtualization actually. We're going to install one empty VM here on top of this. So that's how our lab will look like. So Windows 7, we already are starting in our physical machines. Then VMware Workstation is there. We double click that, start it. Then we start two VMs on that because we have 16 GB in this physical machine. Although Windows 7 is using its own memory, VMware Workstation is using its own memory. Two virtual machines are using the same memory from the hardware, right? And then each virtual machine has Windows 2012. Now inside one of the machine, we're going to install Hyper-V role. Inside that Hyper-V, we're going to install one virtual machine. So that's called nested virtualization. But the problem is not this. This is okay, you keep installing whatever the memory we have, it's okay. The problem is these guys hate each other. That's the problem. Who hate who here? So if I put that now here and put this story in perspective, so VMware will detect that Hyper-V is being installed, and it's going to say we already have an hypervisor. It's going to say that now. And if VMware wanted, they should have had an angry face in front of that message, right? Like, don't install that. So then we're going to do a workaround, a trick, into fooling VMware Workstation into thinking that no, it's not a Hyper-V, it's just some other application. And then it will let Hyper-V install, and then we're going to install one VM, and then we're going to know the networking feature of Hyper-V, and then we're going to know the storage features of Hyper-V, the main two big areas. And that's 4.10. In 4.12, we're going to do migrations between two Hyper-V, right? And we're going to do replication. That's the job getter topics, right? Any topic in 4.12 is going to get you really past the interview, right? But this is the basics. We first need to know the basics. So 4.12 course there. I did this first because they said we did not do anything. Just forget that. But I had to repeat the whole thing here, which I'm about to do here. Then we did the live migration and replication there, right? So let's go ahead now and do that. Let me just check if the video is running. Yep, numbers are moving. And do I have a space there? Okay, I just get that. 10 gigs. Okay, good. Still good. Okay, first thing, the good thing is, let's just shut down our domain controller. We don't need that. Yes. Second thing, we will add the Hyper-V role. So now as I always put the major steps there, or general steps or kernel steps, or okay, anyway. So major steps, just to get an idea of what we're doing now. So I'm going to ask again what is type 1, type 2, although it's just for repeating. It's not asking just testing. It's just our revising, right? So it's good for that we always revise some of the main concepts. So step number one is we don't need AAA. We don't need authentication, authorization, accounting for this today's lab, because we are trying to know the features of Hyper-V right now. So shut down server 01. Second thing, install second thing, on server 02, log in and add the role. So role Hyper-V, and see the error. We need to see the error actually, otherwise if we do it in the production environment, that's going to be embarrassing, right? This error, exactly. So then step number 3 is do the workaround, and I'm going to send you the workaround document. Step number 4, start server 02 again after we have done workaround and install Hyper-V successfully. It better work. So that's why I'm going to make sure that everyone, I'm going to go a little slow on that. So install Hyper-V successfully. Okay. Fifth step, explore switches. So we're going to go for explore the Hyper-V switches, and we're going to create a scenario that's going to be cool, and add extra NICs to know how the networking of Hyper-V works really. So and install extra NICs, but we're going to do that. I'm going to tell you why we're doing that, right? And then finally explore storage of Hyper-V, storage features actually, and they are also very cool features. Okay, those things we are able to do, and our exam objectives, we're going to do that. So first of all, I'm just going to save my type 2 hypervisor's memory by shutting down first virtual machine, right? Because it's type 2, so it's already slow. You, mister, you're slow because you're type 2. Okay, anyway, shutting down. We don't need domain controller for this lab because we're going to install a local role on server 1. I hope we are able to log in now, because I just shut down my domain controller without getting the authentication, or we can just log in locally on the second server, right? So everyone knows how to log in locally from the second server. If you're on the login, if you've already logged in, just sign out and sign in locally. You already tested that, so it's okay. But for others, I'm just going to go for other user and administrator and enter. So now this one virtual machine will have more memory, because the second virtual machine is not sharing memory with me. And already I have millions of applications also here, and millions of web pages for my browser. They're all I have 24 gigs. So if the machines are still giving bad performance, I would just stop and exit from all the applications I have, right? So now I'm just logging in from the local administrator, and it is thinking, what am I doing? So it's taking forever. The local administrator. What is the local administrator and domain administrator? What's the difference?
So local domain installer first time.
So on the domain controller, yes, we disabled on the day 1. On member servers, it's the local administrator that is always available to let you get inside the operating system. That's all, right? So okay, here we want to see that error that hey, we're installing hypervisor of Microsoft inside the hypervisor of VMware. VMware and Microsoft are rivals. They don't want each other's hypervisors in their environment. So if I go to dashboard in second server, add roles and features, everyone agree to there? Add roles and features, and let me just put it on, oops, not remote desktop, magnifying glass. So now we can see even much more clearer. Okay, so dashboard, we know the drill. Add roles and features here, and we can go for next. The 3 next. There is that Hyper-V, right? So as always, as usual, that we have already. Oh, seriously, I have Active Directory here. Yeah, but I don't. It's not a replica. Anyway, let's just select that Hyper-V and click Add Features. As soon as we add features, do you get this error?
Yes.
Okay, you get it. You get it? Cool. You're doing that. Staying, watching that, right? You get that? You're doing that? Oh, okay. Oh, no. This machine. Oh, yeah. So today I think you need to watch and understand. But I'm gonna still quiz you. Okay, anyway. So, and you can ask all the questions, right? So, okay. We all see that error. This means just that we already have an hypervisor, yes, which is VM Workstation. So this is Rival talking. Don't install under VMware environment Rival hypervisor. So cancel out from here. We're gonna say yeah, whatever. IT has a solution for everything, right? So or workaround, or okay. So tricks. So right click and shut down, or let's just use our some simple touch of PowerShell and just put the command here. To shut down, there's a command for PowerShell is stop computer, right? So that's the Desi teacher version. So stop dash computer and then press enter. So stop dash computer in PowerShell, right? Just touching it for now. Alright, once it is down, now we need to work on the so let me just pause this video because okay, so we are going for the workaround. This is the do the workaround number 3 point. If I just go down and go for the sub point here, first thing, shut down the server 02. That's where we're working on. Second step is open the PDF / Word document in your email. Third step is go to the folder in your physical machine where your server 02 files are. Files related to the virtual machine of server 2. I'm gonna do that all step by step. So and then open .vmx or the configuration file of this virtual machine. .vmx for this server 02 which is shut down. Add 3 lines of code from that PDF to this .vmx file. Okay, and last step is or second last, also change or check 2 options in the processor. Then the final step is start your VM, and now Hyper-V should run successfully. Alright, so let's start with this. So do the workaround. Shut down. We all shut down, right? Okay. Shut down the server 2. Second thing, you receive that Word document there because that is very crucial. That has the code that you need. So I'm just gonna start that document here as well. I'm just gonna open that PDF or okay, let's open the PDF. So this is either Microsoft Word document. So this is the error we got. That's in the document as well. And then we go for, and we keep going down. There is that virtual machine that was shut down, server 02. Now the step would be to open that folder where the virtual machine is. The easiest way to open the folder of the virtual machine in our physical machine, the virtual machine folder, where is that? So see this. If we go to our shutdown virtual machine, okay, again, there it is, our shutdown virtual machine. Everyone there? All right, so let's go there. I'm just gonna put it on magnifier now. We can right click on this shutdown virtual machine, which is server 2. Settings. Everyone there? Okay, settings. And when we open the settings, all the disks from the previous lab. Anyway, we will go to options. Once in the settings, go to options. Now general is already selected there, right? So if you look to your right bottom, there is working directory here. This is the path where all the folder of this virtual machine is. We don't have to remember that. Just click anywhere and Control A, right? Select all, then Control C to grab this all, copy this path, and where would you want to paste it? So Control A to select all, right click, copy this, right? Now we have to go to run here in our Windows. I think you have Windows 7, right, everyone? So Windows key and run, Windows key and R. Run is here. Now I can paste that path here, which is Control V or right click and paste, right? So the whole path is there. As soon as you press OK, it opens right inside the folder of this server 2 virtual machine. Everyone there?
Yep.
See, so easy. Oh no, that's just a start. So press OK. There you go. Do you see this in your folder when it opens? .vmx. Do you see the .vmx when you? So does the extension show or not? Because we need to do an extra step to see the extension. And see this. If you don't see the extensions like I'm seeing that, so please see this. On top, you see the view button. On top, we all see the view button on this folder. First of all, you have to be in the folder to see that, right? So view, to your right side, this should be checked. File name extensions, right? So view button on this folder, and then file name extensions. If the folder is open, then only you can do that, right? If the folder is open, right? So view and file name extensions. Did everyone click that? Okay, does it show the extensions like I am seeing this? It should show the extensions of every file. And we are looking for the configuration file or .vmx, right? Oh yeah, so sometimes if it's not available, Alt V or so view is showing, and then file name extension. If you click that, does everyone see that? Do everyone see that? Right click and open it in Notepad. You have to open it in Notepad because we need to add 3 lines now, and full VMware Workstation. I need to edit this in the video now. Hey VMware Workstation, VMware guys, I'm not fooling you. Sorry. Anyway, so 410.vmx. If this is there, we right click. Yeah, everyone is there first. I can come to you and help, huh? Yes. Okay. Good, man. That's a speed.
Yes.
So .vmx. Yeah. .vmx is every two seeing that?
Folder options. There.
View. Yeah, this is virtual machine configuration. Did you go to your email and open that? So all you need to do is open it in that. So what if this is open, right? Now it is open. Now you have to go to really last and press enter. Then you have to go to the document here, which was open. So now see what's going on. Now I'm going to show you now. You have to copy 3 lines inside this, right? So I'm just opening this .vmx inside the Notepad. There's the Notepad. Everyone opened that? Yes. Okay. Oh, anyway. Okay. So anyone stuck? Let me know. Has everyone able to open this in the Notepad? Yes, Matthew, also? Dinesh? Yeah, okay, good. Raja?
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We're done.
You're, oh. Okay. Hey, come on, man. You're
I'm
supposed to be
almost done.
20 years ahead.
I'm almost there. Just the last
Hey.
thing is that virtual Intel wiki.
Yeah. Cool. And yeah, after that we're gonna start, right? And yeah, if
Is this after this ID?
no. After this, then after this there are in the processor you have to check 2 more boxes. That's it. So you're already there. Cool. So here, so I'm just going a bit too slow, so I'm just gonna go faster now. And this is the last line, and so I'm gonna copy that 3 lines code inside this last line. So the file that I sent in the email, I'm just going to open that file. It's PDF. There it is. And I'm just gonna keep going down until I see the 3 lines of code that I need to enter in that virtual machine. There is that. And now these are the 3 lines on that document, so please do try this at home. Okay, so these are 3 lines. You see that, Dinesh?
Yep.
Matthew, you see that? 3 lines. So it is, oh, that cool, man. So which, oh, 7, yeah, it's 7, page 7. So right, just select that, copy, paste it at the end of the notepad, and behold the magic. When we start the machine, no, don't start the machine right after that, there's another thing we need to do. But when we copy that, go back to the notepad that was open, like this. Notepad was open in the physical machine. At the end of this, right click and paste 3 lines. It gets pasted as guys, did you paste it directly? 3 lines. You did not put. You did not press enter, right? For these 3 lines, you just paste it and close it, right? Good. And you're going to discover now, till now, that it doesn't work or not. Which it should. It should work. Just to be on the safe side, the MCE was on the 2nd line. I'm sure it's gonna work. So MCE was on 2nd line and VHU was the 3rd line. If I go back to the document, MCE was on 2nd line, VHU was on 3rd line. When you paste, it just go into the. When you paste, it just goes on to the 1 line whole. Maybe it might work. It should be working. But if we just put it separate, so MCE 2nd line, VHU 3rd line. If I go back to the notepad, it was 1 line, but wherever MCE was, I clicked it and pressed enter, right? So it went to the 2nd line, right? It was like this. So go and keep reading the line. Then at the end of it, MCE, enter. And it was also like this. So go at the end of true and VHU, before VHU, click and enter, right? Okay, this, even if you leave it like that, I think it's going to work, but sometimes we need to just follow the whole thing. Press close and yes, right? Close and save. Now don't start the machine till now. And since all the screenshots in the document as well, I would recommend that please do repeat that at home. It's very important that you have the Hyper-V lab inside and you can work on it and follow the video as well. So first of all, what we did was we just changed the code or added 3 lines of code. Second thing, I'm just going back to my shutdown machine and its properties are still open there. And the properties are still open. I'm just going to go to hardware here. In the properties, I'm going to go to the hardware and this time the processor. Working, right? Good. Thank you for confirming that. It's just that sometimes we follow the book, and but I don't take chances on that. If I don't have to return now, it's confirmed that 1 line, although it's supposed to work. I mean, logically it should, but was fearful. Okay, in hardware, go to processors and just turn these 2. Both. Finish. Okay. right? Where do you right click?
Yeah.
You're done. Okay, press OK and start, and let's see the magic. Okay, that's not magic. It's somebody really worked hard and we're copying him. Anyway, so start the machine. Make sure the processor 2 options were selected, right? 2 options are selected, right? Okay, that's it. Now we start our sometimes we have to go through the, as system administrators, we have to go through many of the codes and everything there just to get something working in our and have it easily available in our home labs. And now we can have as many Hyper-V machines in our home labs. At home, please do have an Hyper-V there as well. Try this procedure and then practice over it, because virtualization is crazily in now. You will be handling virtualization in your environment when you go for a job, a system administrator, technical support, network administrator, system analyst. They will ask you, hey, we have, because they have virtualization, they have virtual machines from Hyper-V, they have virtual machines from VMware, so they will ask you. We already are doing work in the VMware session, but now we're going to do work in the Hyper-V. So now let's just get going. I'm just logging into the local administrator. If you're logging in from the domain administrator, this is also okay, right? Domain administrator, local administrator, we just need to see Hyper-V, that's all, right? So I'm sure, so let's just go inside and check out Hyper-V installation. Also, let's see the options of Hyper-V now. So hopefully it is working. If everything went well, it should be working now. So for that, dashboard again, and add roles and features. We know the drill from here. Just to add the role called Hyper-V, right? So majority of us are here, or all of us are here, right, Dinesh? It's loading, right?
Yeah,
It's loading, right? Okay. So let me know when you reach there. So let me know when you reach this. So we can just I'll just repeat that or let you know. So next, we know what to do here. Once the machine is started, next, 3 next, and the role page comes. And now when we go Hyper-V, where we got the error, if we click add features and close our eyes now, oh, it works, cool. So Hyper-V is there, and we can go next now. So all this trouble of going was to easily make the Hyper-V machine available in our current environment, right? We don't have to make major changes in any of our environment. We can just have this as well in our current environment. So we're already used to our environment, right? So Hyper-V once installed, next, nothing in the features, we already added the features, next. It introduces Hyper-V. Hyper-V is good, it's perfect, and please buy us and make us rich. No, I was just kidding. Next. Okay, do you see one network card or do you see 2 network cards? One. You see 2, right? Oh, okay. So you okay. So one network card. Suppose there are 2, 3, doesn't matter. So we're going to, let's just select that. Yes, in Hyper-V we want to connect with the outside world, so we're selecting one network card. If there were 2, we will still go for 1 for now, and we're going to talk about the new scenario now. Next. Okay, this is the 7412 topic of how to transfer virtual machines from one Hyper-V to the other. So if I go back to my diagram or the drawing where we had 2 virtual machines here, and if I just come out of this, okay, so it was on 23, yeah, there it is. So you as a system administrator, already you're handling SQL Server, you're handling file servers and VMware environment, and you're given now Hyper-V as well. Hey, you know the games, your system administrator, whatever systems around you, you need to handle them, or you're part of that team. So whatever virtual machines, yeah,
Necessary to
log in locally.
allow the server to send the receiving virtual machine.
So it's not necessary. So we're not going to check it now, but I wanted to show you why it is there. What is this option? But yes, we're not going to check it. So the option is you as a system administrator, 30 per hour, 40 per hour, 50 per hour. Hey, that it feels good, right? to know that. Oh, anyway, so now your system administrator, you might need to migrate machines from one physical server to the other and back from that physical server, the virtual machine to the first physical server, or maybe you have 10 physical servers at any given time you're migrating virtual machines. Can you think of any scenario that you have to migrate a virtual machine from one physical server to another? Yep.
Hardware die.
Okay, hardware performance, main thing. Any other scenario? So physical machine maybe not working better, and users are calling, hey, we're connecting to your virtual machine and it's bad performance. And you know there's a higher end server here, which is connected to Hyper-V, so just migrate this to there. And then you ask the user, they again connect, and they're like, wow, okay, cool, it's working. Physical machine performance. Any other scenario?
Migrating licenses.
Okay, well, kind of. It looks good as a sentence. Yeah, migrating license, man. But no,
No.
kind of like how.
Usage of application, I would say, like if this server starts taking so much load and other servers.
Oh, again,
have
performance.
space,
Physical. Yeah,
it's part
yeah.
of physical performance. Yeah.
Still performance. This physical server performing bad, migrate to the better performing physical server. Any other? Okay. Second is you lose a server. Okay.
That's-
That is not migration then. That's replication. Replication. So there are two labs which we already did in the morning, 7412 class, and that was fun. We crashed the server and we tested it. But anyway, you have a replication going on between. Actually, this is a lab for that. So replication just means that there's an exact copy running 24/7, recording anything. This is active virtual machine. This is the replica virtual machine, standby. Exact copy, whatever you make changes here is being recorded here. As soon as you lose the whole server, this machine you can activate easily. It's not automatic process, but this machine you lose, the server is gone, so this machine activates and you have an exact copy that is there. And so migration, yes, in peacetime. So this means that you don't have an immediate failure, but if there's an immediate failure, there is a second feature called replication, right? So migration, replication. Anyway, we are not going to select that, so I'm just going to go back here. This is the option that we were on, so let's go magnify here. We're not selecting this, but we can select it anytime. But what does it do again? CRUD SSP, just if you're sitting in front of the machine, if you select CRUD SSP in front of the machine you're sitting, and you will be really, it will be so cold. It will be so cold that you cannot sit in front of the machine. You know why?
You're in the server room. It's supposed
Data
to-
centers, you're not supposed to work in front of sitting the server unless you have to. There's some problem. There's some big problem. So in some data centers you have to put a jacket in June, right?
Yeah.
A very big jacket actually, and they have those jackets there already. Hey, you want to go into the data center? Good luck, buddy. Don't come out freezing like this. Anyway, no, it's just exaggeration.
Sorry, so
No, it's not.
they don't have any software for automatic conversion.
They have.
Okay.
They have. So this is if you want to run the migration directly sitting in front of the server. Kerberos, when you select the second option, you remotely connect and then do this. So these are the two options here. Here in the lab, we can do CRUD SSP, but because it is a job-oriented course, whatever we do, we need to see if it is applicable in the job. CRUD SSP is not applicable in the job, so we did the Kerberos thing that has extra 5 or 6 steps more, but we did it for the job environment. So definitely in the job environment you have a laptop given to you and remotely you connect to your Hyper-V and then you configure everything, right? So you can live migrate from sitting on your laptop, and data center is somewhere up there or down in the basement or whatever. So in one of my previous jobs, there was data center was on 69th floor and we were on 14th floor. So whenever there was an emergency, we had to go right up, and the elevator was like, so ears were like, okay, what's going on? And up there, jackets. Okay, sir, we're done. Okay, coming back? Yeah, okay, you're freezing. Anyway, no, that was exaggeration. It's not that bad. Come on. So just have some coffee. That's all. Okay. So next, This is the path for the hard disks. Hard disks have a separate path. Virtual machine, so physical machine have a hard disk. Virtual machine has to have a hard disk as well, right? And virtual machine itself, where will be the virtual machine residing? In this path. And recommended is, and the hard disk of the virtual machine will reside in this path, C drive. But it is always recommended, of course, to put it on D and E other than the C drive, because C drive has operating system installed there, right? Let's go next. And there you go. So let's always click restart, because if it wants to restart, it will, otherwise it won't. Press yes, click install, and there we go. Now we're jumping into, we're going hyper now. Hyper speed. See, that's still a good way to say that. So our scenario there, what is the major scenario? One is how the networking work in Hyper-V, and we're going to compare it with our VMware workstation, the rival, right? So how does, oh, it's restarting, seriously, okay. Well, it's always good to never leave any machine or Windows machine pending, right? It should just restart whenever it needs to restart, right? So break, we can have a break now, no problem.
I'm back.
Okay.
This isn't that, between Hyper-V and VMware,
Mm-hmm.
which one do you recommend for server, for example?
Yeah.
If you are admin of, for Scotiabank,
Yeah.
and they want to install one for themselves.
So VMware is more
Generally,
stable.
Maybe it's some, I
Yeah.
don't know, it's expensive about these things, but what the performance?
Performance wise, reliability wise, reliability still again comes to performance, that hey, 500 or 1000 servers are there and 10,000 users are connected to that, 10,000. So this means it's reliable, it's not going to restart, it's not, its memory is not going to just say, hey, I'm not working anymore, sorry. So, or any other feature gives any problem. So Hyper-V is reliable, more reliable than, when it comes to large infrastructure, Hyper-V is more reliable than, okay, it's opposite. VMware is more reliable than Hyper-V. Yeah, what is it doing? Hyper-V? God. Hey, it's a Microsoft class, so, this video may be uploaded to Microsoft. Now, anyway, VMware is more reliable than Hyper-V. VMware has the biggest market in virtualization. There are competitors, Zen Server.
What
Now
about
Red Hat?
Andy? I have heard about Andy. A-N-D-Y.
Sorry. Maybe there are many other solutions, many other. It's just that I didn't hear about that. There could be, and I'm definitely going to Google it as soon as possible. But okay, there is virtualization where there are competitors, and who leads the market? VMware in virtualization leads the market. Microsoft, we can safely say second in line. Citrix Zen Server, that's third in line. That is also hypervisor type 1, Zen Server. In cloud, there's a huge competition as well, cloud. So virtualization is still there, but it's somebody else's data center that your machines are. In cloud, there is Amazon on top. And Amazon has a huge cloud data centers across the globe. Microsoft is starting to think of competing with Amazon. It's that big. So Amazon is like there. Microsoft is on the stair number 1 and starting to build big data centers across the
But
globe.
Microsoft is always
It's a big company, and when I heard that,
always be. And they always be.
definite, but they are earning from some other channels, right? So cloud is something, some company just went and invested the whole, so now the highest paying administrator is Amazon Cloud Administrator, highest paid, 125,000 per year. That's the latest survey. So when it comes to cloud, then it's Amazon, Microsoft, VMware vCloud now comes third here. So every product has its own ratings, right? And then there is that Google Cloud as well. And then every third company has started opening cloud, which means that remotely you can use their machines. Remotely you just need internet connection and some Windows 7 machines. You don't need a data center in your company anymore now. So on the cloud side, now they need a lot of administrators there, because every company, there's that in Brampton, I think there's a company called IT Weapons. Whichever company you see, managed company, this means that we are having hundreds of servers, but 10 servers are for that company in Mississauga, 15 servers are for that company in North York, 10 servers are for company in Edmonton or London, So now every company, you and I can invest, and put at least 10 servers, and then if our reputation is good in the market, we can go to the companies. Hey, we can just host your applications in our servers, and we open a cloud ourselves. So, and many people are doing that now in their 2-bed apartment, one apartment with air conditioning and servers, and they already have actually good reputation somewhere else. So they're now just you just have to know that switches, routers, and air conditioning. You're running your own data center at home now. So it is a business if you're a marketing person as well as very technical person. Anyway, so yeah, that's like ideas, but that's like too far fetched. So grab the market first, and then otherwise just aim for a big company. So, okay. Now, if you want remote servers, there are. I was checking if you want to check Amazon service for 1 year free, and certain limit they give on that you can use our servers, you can use our applications. If you go beyond that level, if you use more processing on our servers that you have free, then I'm going to charge you. Otherwise, we're not going to charge you. So, just to experience cloud, we should open free account on Amazon. Open free account, 1 month free account on Azure. Windows Azure is Microsoft Azure is the cloud version of Microsoft.
How can you be sure you can trust them with their data?
Well, that's why we would learn that. We would do our homework, and we can use it to the level where it doesn't exceed that. So definitely they're in the market. This means there's a reputation. They're the leaders because of the reputation. So if they charge you, you can give them hard time, but you must learn cloud now. Amazon, go to Amazon.com or cloud, Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services. Open your account just to be familiar with the cloud functioning. Okay, so we are back, and Hyper-V is installed, and let's just go hyper now. So we're going at the hyper speed. Okay, so on the left side you can see here in the server manager the Hyper-V, and you can right click and Hyper-V manager here. You can open through the console, or you can go to tools, and there's the Hyper-V manager here as well. Both open the same thing. So let's open the Hyper-V console, and there it is. Now when we click this server 2, which is hosting Hyper-V role, so when you click server 2, either right click and all the options are there, or if you click server and go to the right side, look to the right side here, you can see all the options here, right? So Hyper-V settings are here, virtual switch manager is there, virtual SAN manager is there, and then the edit disk, inspect disk. So that's related to storage. But we can go and look at the Hyper-V settings here. We can have import virtual machine, which is actually later. If we go to new as well, we can create virtual machine, new hard disk, new floppy disk. Okay, it still has a purpose, but it's ridiculous. That's a very good question. No, it's like, so suppose in a physical machine environment, we put USBs to boot from. So we can use in virtual environment the floppy disks, which is just going to carry small number of 3 or 4 files to attach and do the stuff. Okay, so so let's just go to Hyper-V settings. Otherwise, we're going to be mainly working on right away in virtual switch manager. But let's have an intro there. Hyper-V settings. Click there. There, Hyper-V settings has lots of options here. Mostly, apart from the top 2, all others are 7412 topics. But we can just have an intro here that this is where the path you can change for all the hard disks of your virtual machines here. See, and maybe you have now D drive or E drive. You can just add those, right? But we're not gonna add for now. Virtual machines also, so virtual hard disk separate path, virtual machine separate path. We're gonna install virtual machines, empty ones. So if we're gonna test how to create a virtual machine. GPU is for any graphical streaming going on the virtual environment. Again, we can just work on that if we have very good display cards. So we can go in depth a little in 7412 here. NUMA spanning is also an option where virtual machine gets hold of your hardware better, especially your memory and processing. But this is also, again, we can go in depth in the 7412 topic. Live migration, that's what we actually do. The lab, the storage migration. When we talk about storage, what is storage in context of virtualization or virtual environment or Hyper-V? Storage is the hard disk of a virtual machine. So, hey, transfer the storage. This means you're just transferring the hard disk of virtual machine. Another thing, virtual machine of VMware has the extension called .vmdk. Virtual machine of Hyper-V has the extension called .vhdx. So now while we keep this window here, let's go and check some of the slides, and do some theory, and then come back here, and we're going to understand what we are looking at now much better than before. So if I go to the slide here, there is some of the steps we have already done. We have talked about why do we need virtualization. So did we? Why do we need virtualization? Why big organizations are crazily, blindly going virtualizing their machines? When we say virtualizing the machines, what are we talking about? Getting rid of physical. We're getting rid of the hardware, physical servers. And why do we need that? Why do we need? So there are 200 physical servers, high end, and you go virtualize. Now there are like 10 physical servers, but very high end, and all other servers which were having, one server was having printing role, one server was having web server role, one server was having any banking application role. So instead of 200, now you have, okay, 10 is like very less. We can go to 50 servers instead of 200 servers. 50 physical servers, but they are very high-end servers, very good processor, very good memory. What's going on here? Virtual machines. Now there are more virtual machines having the same roles installed there. So benefits of virtualizing. Number one is of the hard disk.
No, sorry. These are the
So we're talking about data center.
data center. Yeah.
What are the basic requirements of running a data center? Anyone knows that?
Requirements?
Requirements of running daily usage of a data center. Cooling,
Cooling,
You need
Electricity.
security, electricity.
Yeah.
What else?
We're just talking about costs.
No.
Yes.
Cost.
It's
Oh,
basically
okay.
comes down to cost.
Cost and
Cooling of 200 machines and cooling of 50
Hire
machines,
people for operating,
and hire people for operating as well. So cooling of a data center having 200 servers instead of 200, when you have 50 servers, the cost is automatically less. You may transfer those servers to a smaller hall instead of a big hall. So cooling a big hall, more cost. Then electricity needs of 200 physical servers comes down to 50 physical servers. Third thing, UPS. Anyone thought about that?
Universal power supply.
So,
And if
And-
you said power goes down,
yeah.
the server won't shut down immediately.
and in Canada, does it happen?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, it happens, guys.
Worldwide.
For a big bank like having 80,000 machines across the globe, it still happens in Toronto downtown, which is supposed to be the perfect area for everything. The electricity goes down there as well, just for that. So we have UPS. When you have UPS, now that means patrol supply for the UPS as well. And the raised floor, you raise floor because the wires are going from beneath, all the wires are going and connecting to the servers. So the cost keeps on going. And then one more cost nobody mentioned. 200 servers are running, right? What's the cost for those servers?
Maintenance?
maintenance and management.
For example, parts.
Areas are located-
Parts, exactly, as you said, maintenance of hard disk will go down. Servers are running 24/7. So hard disk in 3 years, a new hard disk in 3 or 4 years will go down, right? So maintenance of parts, now 200 servers and 50 servers, and even they are going crazily, going down. Much more high-end servers are supporting. Now you are running 20 virtual machines or 30 virtual machines in one server. Now you can go up to 50, 60 virtual machines in one server. You just have to have another copy of that server. That's it. Or 2 copies of that server. 2 physical servers ready for replicating all those machines. So that physical server you lose, its copies are running on 2 other physical servers instead of 200 physical servers, right? So the whole cost, that's why companies are going crazy. But then the new trend is, the more dangerous trend now is, hey, we were making our data centers very small from very large. Now what we're doing, we are just totally getting rid of our data center. How?
They're doing it online.
Cloud.
Amazon services and all that.
The word cloud is a threat to the job market. Anyway, we were saying, hey, virtualization is a threat to a job market. Now the word cloud, you don't need a data center. You just need internet connection. 2 internet connections, 1 techie guy there. So that guy will just, okay, you have some problem here in your machine, sir. I'm here to fix your. And all the administrators have shifted to the cloud now. And so Microsoft is hiring more. All the cloud companies are hiring a lot of, and new businesses that are emerging and offering cloud. As I said, offering cloud is so easy. Just have 2 very good internet connections and 10 servers there, and start with a small company, right?
Why 2 internet
And have a sort of bullet. Yeah? Oh,
connections?
sorry.
Okay.
Backup internet connection. You must have 2s of everything. 7412, we're going to be having 2s of everything, and we're going to start crashing everything and testing everything, right? So that's why first shrinking the data center, now just kicking out the data center of your company. That's cloud. So I'm saying again and again, go open your accounts in Microsoft Azure, on your AWS web services, and they really need experts. They can't find those who can do things, right? And I have that group, Google group, Share IT Jobs. All the students, my previous students are member there, and we all send latest jobs there, right? Mostly I send, but I get jobs from so many other sources which are legit. If you apply to some of those, so if you're interested, let me know. I'll just add you to that. You should be interested, right? Anyway, you have a job, you don't have a job, you're looking for that. You already have a very good job. They're all there, members, and those jobs are legit. Just happening now. Brampton, downtown, London, here, there, within GTA as well. So anyway, let's go ahead. So I'm just gonna email you that I'm adding you all to that job group. If you say no, then I will not add. Otherwise, I will automatically add. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, so yeah, till now, out of 300, one guy said no. Out of 300,
He loves his job.
and he loves his job. He's in downtown and system administrator. So okay, current hardware is underutilized. Yes, that's what we talked about. It's all about shrinking data centers and cost of that. Also, lesser machines you can take backup easily. Lesser machines you can do virus check easily. So there's a lot of and migrate and replicate easy. Whatever is less, of course, you can do better, right? But then you have to be really virtualization guru, and now the cloud guru. So virtualization and cloud is a new trend now. So I would recommend go for VMware course. That is very, very important. And Hyper-V we're going to cover here whatever we can. But VMware is much more in depth, right? Hyper-V, Microsoft has a separate course for that. But Microsoft's cloud course is now everyone is going for that. Microsoft's cloud course, which is Microsoft Private Cloud. Everyone is going for that because Microsoft, still the solution is cheaper than VMware and much, much cheaper than Amazon. Again, Microsoft is winning wherever the cost cutting is going on, and because of the economy, every company wants to.
Microsoft always wins.
Yeah, it has some strategy, man. They just keep the customers to themselves, no matter how big their competitor is. And well, that's the marketing, yeah. So then the word is clustering. Anyone heard of clustering before?
Yes.
I did at university long time ago.
Okay, so one-liner. What is the basics of clustering? Why do we need it?
For the regions
Difficult, and in 7412 we're going to implement each and every step of clustering. Today in George Brown we did the clustering.
Yes, I remember when I was at university,
Okay.
and our professor that used to teach us this clustering.
Okay.
After a couple of years, he received job promotion from NASA.
Serious?
From NASA, yes, from Iran to NASA.
Oh, man, that guy must
He
be.
was real expert in clustering.
So yeah, and NASA. Whew,
Really
okay.
difficult.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that must be some guy. So clustering. What's the basic purpose of clustering? High availability. High availability. You lose one server, the other server just keeps your application running. Suppose that application is a banking application, and thousands of users are connected to that application, but that application is running out of, as this is the case here, the virtual machines are running out of this server. This server goes down, all the virtual machines are migrated here, or their copies here gets activated, right? So Hyper-V also runs with clustering, but we're gonna basically configure the cluster itself. Every company, any company you give interview, they have cluster. It's not like will have, they already have. We know that clustering is there, we just need to understand that, we need to install that, we need to go through every component of that, right? So clustering is high availability. You lose one server, end user will never know that we lost actually one full server there. End user will never know that. I'm gonna check that by crashing a server and starting a notepad, and just like we did for the RAID 1, right? RAID 1 and RAID 5. The cluster level, it's even more fun doing that. So let's go ahead. Hyper-V requirements, Windows 2012 full core Hyper-V server. So we did talk about that, type 1, type 2. So we did practice server core, right? Server core.
Yes.
We can install, so what's the one benefit you see? So Windows 2012 GUI, you install Hyper-V just like we did. It's not good solution for just virtual machine hosting. Core is there, and the Hyper-V type 1 hypervisor, which is freely available. You can install that, but there is a server core as well. You know what's the benefit of server core with Hyper-V? Server core you install, then you install Hyper-V, and remotely you can start creating machines. But server core still supports many of the other roles. Server core itself does not. Now that's an operating system. Server core is an operating system, and it has a small footprint. It is not consuming memory, disk, and processing. So now that's another very good solution that people are using. That install server core, install DNS, install Active Directory on that, install Hyper-V as well, and still as an operating system, it's not consuming hardware. So Hyper-V also, so virtual machines also get to work perfectly there, right? So with server code, that's why still Microsoft is a very good challenger. It's not still yet there with VMware, but many banks and big companies are still using that. They have VMware big environment, but they are going for Hyper-V as well. Okay, excuse me. So x64 was so there are some features here. One is SL80/second level address translation, which is just giving us more direct connection between VMs and CPU. So virtual machines get to have more access to the hardware. Then there's DEP, or data execution processing, or Johnny Depp. No, it's not Johnny Depp. It's just Depp, right? So there's no new movie from Johnny Depp, right? After Pirates of Caribbean, he's like, okay, anyway.
Black Mass.
Which one?
Black Mass.
Oh, good. Oh man, now I gotta see that.
You're a big fan?
Of good story movies with good effects, right? Yeah. But oh man. Okay, now you said it. I can't sit idle without. Oh, okay. Anyway, so DEP. See, that's the fault of this DEP. Data execution processing prevents execution of malicious apps to use the processor. So definitely, it's a security option here. Processing up to 32 CPU for guest Macs. So it in Windows 2008, Hyper-V was introduced. Hyper-V was introduced there in Windows 2008, but it sucked. Really, like officially, it sucked. So they were saying, "Hey, Microsoft, you're planning to be a competitor of VMware, and you have Hyper-V in Windows 2008." I mean, like, look at that. Now in 2012, then Microsoft got the challenge. In 2012, it really improved Hyper-V, and now 2016 is coming now. Windows 20, which there's even much more improvement. It's really going as a competitor with VMware. So, and because of its economic solution, you don't have to spend a huge amount like VMware. So it is kind of also, being adopted fast, much faster than before. So it has improved all its capacities. 32 CPUs can be given to one machine, 32. 1 terabyte for guest Macs. You can give storage. Input output is critical. So we will talk about SAN. whenever we talk about SAN, do we know what is this SAN, storage area network?
It's one of the hard drive.
So storage area SAN offers hard drives over the network. So you don't push the hard disk locally. Suppose there's a server that requires 100 hard disks. Physically, you can give 10 hard disks, 16 hard disks, 20 hard disks, maybe 24 maximum. That's the capacity of a physical server. But you need 100 hard disks or 110 hard disks. One of our servers had, in a previous one of the jobs, one of my servers had 98 hard disks. 98. So 16 were local hard disks. All others were coming over the network, fiber optic network, to my servers. So SAN, if I just quickly build that diagram here, because SAN we're going to be talking again and again about SAN. So if we have two servers here and these need hard disk support, so SAN is, hey, you know what? Wow, what a coincidence. This diagram, so I was teaching George Brown in the morning. We did the clustering lab and we talked about SAN. So anyway, so this is a tower, all our hard disks here, hard disk after hard disk after hard disk, and these are the two servers that require more than the local hard disk capacity. Local hard disk is 16 GB or 20 GB. You can go and borrow all the hard disks from this SAN tower, storage area network, SAN. And over the network, you can offer these hard disks to these machines. When you go to these machines, after connecting these hard disks over the network, when you go to this machine, it will look like they are local hard disks. But they are actually coming from SAN over the network. If your network is good, which is fiber optic, if it is fiber optic, it's much faster data transfer. If it is Ethernet, like what we are using now, the cables, it's kind of slow, but it's still, we can use the SAN. So when we talk about SAN, we can borrow disks from other storage devices over the network. We can access those disks and use those disks as if they were local disks, right? That is SAN solution. That you can have as much storage as you want from someone else and not locally available. Or you run out of local and you still need more, right? So let's go ahead a little. Dynamic memory, start with 512 megabyte, yes, and smart paging. Anyone knows what's paging? The concept of paging?
Taking memory and taking hard disk space and using that memory.
Exactly. So you use your hard disk space, some of it, as a memory. So the computer thinks that this is actually part of the memory. So you have 32 GB of memory and you can have a paging file of like 2 GB more, 5 GB more, even half of that, or at least 10% less of the full memory. So when you run a lot of applications and the memory is full, then it uses some portion of the hard disk as memory, which is called paging file, right? So resource metering is something. So let's just get going. A lot of boring theory, but where I was trying to come here is VHD is the hard disk extension of Hyper-V virtual machines. VHDX. So what's the difference here? VHD is the hard disk extension of virtual machine of Windows 2008 Hyper-V. Okay. Then VHD is Windows 2008 Hyper-V virtual machine hard disk. Wow, there's still a long sentence. Okay, VHDX is the hard disk of Hyper-V hard disk of the virtual machine of the Hyper-V, which is Windows 2012. See there, I said it. So VHDX is the Windows 2012 virtual machine hard disk. VHD is the Windows 2008 older Hyper-V virtual machine hard disk. Okay. What we need to know here for the exam and for the job, 64 terabyte maximum capacity can be supported for VHDX hard disks. And then we're going to try to do this. It is more resilient. If the data is crashed, they say that you can recover most of it and you can actually understand what you recovered. But we need to still put it on test. So modify VHD, we can shrink, we can expand hard disk. We just tested shrinking and expanding, right? In RAID 1 and RAID 5. Or in our storage lab. So that's shrinking and expanding, but you can do it virtually as well in Hyper-V. Differencing drive, pass-through disk, and snapshots. Okay, snapshot is? Exactly. Anything else? Yeah, no, just kidding. Yeah. Snapshot is, first of all, snapshot is a term used in VMware, and its alternative in Hyper-V is checkpoint. So we take checkpoints. See, checkpoints. Snapshot is better. Anyway, it's not about that, better or better. What is the concept of snapshot? We use it.
You did it, but I don't know
It's like at the situation where you
What's-
the system has a
What's happening, Raj's? Come on,
at the point of where
Raj. The word Raj,
point
right?
where you
Oh.
make a like
Point in time copy of the configuration. So at any given time, you click the button snapshot. So actually, it's here. So we know how to do that, but
I say last known configuration that used to work. It's called last known configuration.
last known
Good
okay,
configuration.
last known good configuration. That was in
Windows
safe
7,
mode in Windows
yeah,
7.
see, there's a kind
But
of situation.
exactly that's the concept
That's
you're
the
you're,
concept
you're
of
saying it. So when we right click the virtual machine here,
Or you can call
and
restore point.
snapshot, restore point as well. Point in time copy of. So right now I take a snapshot. The day after 2 weeks, I can come back to the snapshot where it was today's configuration. Hyper-V was just about to be configured, right? So snapshot is point in time copy. Point in time just means at that given time, whatever was the configuration, save it. After 2 years, you can come back to this configuration, right? So if your junior administrator and your senior administrator is there and he took a snapshot, yeah, it's funny, yeah. That's why you're already smiling, right? So so if your senior administrator is there and you really want that senior administrator to be kicked out, so his bad habit, just grab that bad habit of that he leaves his machine always open, right? When he's go, hey, long time, man, and he's just gone to the second desk, and then you see, okay, now's my time for promotion time. So you go there and just see the 2-year back snapshot of the root domain controller of your big company, and you just go back there from his account and do that. Never do that. That was just a joke for the record of the video. I'm just kidding. See, everyone's smiling. Don't do that. But snapshot works this way. Okay, anyway. This is now we understand. We're never gonna forget snapshot concept. But disclaimer, don't do this in Office, right?
Even though if you do that, but you still have the snapshots for the future ones, isn't it?
Whatever was connecting to this. So you
Yeah,
took
it
the
will-
snapshot back. So whatever's
will-
connecting is not finding today's things there.
Okay.
Today's connectivity, maybe there were 2,000 groups, security groups there, 10,000 users. Everything is not there. When we go back, it already will have been a very messed up environment, and then you get promoted. Oh, again, don't go this way. That was just to explain a concept. Anyway, when it's a fun way, we get to not forget that. So enhanced session mode. Let's get back to some of theory, but again, we need to talk about the networking portion of Hyper-V. This is just an intro, so I'm just gonna go back here to. Okay, so their enhanced session mode is just enhancing hardware resources for the current session, that for the remote connectivity of the users. See, a lot of words there, but when we go for 7412, majority of things we're gonna actually discuss with diagrams. Replication is what I was talking about. That exact copy would be maintained on a next physical server. This is a lab for 7412, and this is the lab. Migration and replication are there. Then there are this keyboard, mouse release key, and the hotkeys there. Enhanced session mode again. Reset checkboxes. That's the checkpoint that you want to reset. All the configuration. But now the interesting area, virtual switch manager. So either you can go right-click the Hyper-V here and go to virtual switch manager, or you go from right side again. So now when we open the virtual switch manager, first of all, you see here external, internal, private, right? Everyone sees that, right?
Yeah.
Do you see that same thing in VMware Workstation? So virtual switch manager, if I this is the VMware Workstation just on top of this, right? Right click, and if I go to settings and network adapter, so this is the bridged NAT host only in VMware. If I just move it, it's external, internal, private in Hyper-V. So I'm just going to close this VMware Workstation settings screen. I'm gonna go back to Hyper-V here. So what is switch anyway? So what is switch? Physical switch. What is switch? What is do?
It's for locally transferring packets from one host to another.
And so when we talk about switch, exactly as you said, if we go and switch to our okay, anyway, switch for computers. So don't suggest me any other pictures other than this. So that's a switch. Okay, so if we grab that big dude here, okay, and come back to our environment. So we have a switch here. So each port you connect a network cable, and it connects to a one wired computer, right? So this looks like yeah, it's like 48 ports. Why was I saying 34? Okay, so this is a switch, physical switch. Now there are virtual switches. Cisco is also going virtual. That is called software defined networking now. So not much of the, or very less of the physical hardware for switches you will see, and most of it you would have to learn what are the virtual switches. So let's create that diagram. In fact, let's create that scenario where do I already have that scenario there? No, I deleted that. I should not have. Anyway, so but when we recreate it, it's better. So what happens is that there are two branches, London and New York, right? Okay, Toronto and New York. Let's not go London, right? It's far. Anyway, so there is that one virtual switch, and there is that other virtual physical switch. Sorry. So one physical switch is. So I'm just gonna quickly go for this. One is NY physical switch, and the second is Toronto physical switch here. So Toronto, but these are physical switches. Now when we this is our two Hyper-V machines, or one Hyper-V machine, one is DC, this is Hyper-V server. So inside we have these virtual machines here. Inside we have these virtual machines. We can have a break. Oh, 9 o'clock is a break time actually. Okay, guys, we're gonna work on that. So let's have a 10-minute break here.
I just got up Christine to get up.
Sorry?
I just got up Christine to get up.
Yeah, but also,
Right.
Satiq also told me that you don't give breaks. And I'm like, okay. If somebody reminds me, then I give. Otherwise,
For ESXi server.
ooh. Okay, so we're talking about a scenario that we're going to actually implement now, and we're going to make sure the main purpose of this scenario is that inside a virtual machine, inside a physical server of Hyper-V, where Hyper-V hypervisor type 1 is installed, when you have a virtual machine, a set of virtual machines dedicated for New York, and you have set of virtual machines dedicated for Toronto, can inside one physical server you can redirect traffic in such a way that Toronto users connect to their set of virtual machines, and their virtual machines are not communicating to the New York virtual machines inside the same physical server. So what we are doing here is, their New York users have file servers here, and Toronto users have file servers here, and within one physical server we're going to regulate our traffic in such a way that it has to be totally separate within the virtual environment, separately going and coming traffic within one physical server. All the virtual machines for New York should not be making any network traffic conflict with the Toronto file server. So there are file servers, let me just point them out here now. File servers, so NY file servers and Toronto file servers. So above ones are New York file servers, below ones are Toronto file servers. the traffic coming from this physical switch is connected to, suppose, the New York branch. So users are connecting from New York branch to this physical switch, and this physical switch, now we have to regulate traffic from this physical switch to just the file servers, virtual file servers that are inside this one physical machine. So what we are trying here is, already what we have here is one network card here, actually two network cards, but second one is disabled for internet. So there is one network card here, right? So if suppose I want to connect New York users, so from the physical switch there's a cable coming to this, right? This network card, and from this one network card the traffic is going to these file servers. These are for the New York users. These file servers are, there are Excel files, there are Word files, PDF files there. So what about the Toronto users? So for Toronto users, if we introduce a second network card, which we will, and then we again go for the traffic, and now the Toronto physical switch cable is connecting to the network card here in our Hyper-V, and from this network card they are connecting to Toronto file servers. There is one thing missing here only. Now the rule of the thumb, if this one network card is there, if any virtual machine wants to connect to the outside world through this network card, you can bind one network card to one virtual machine only. If this one virtual machine is bound to this network card, the second and third virtual machines cannot bind to this same physical network card. That's the rule number one. So suppose we connect this one file server of New York to this network card, and this network card is connected to the New York physical switch. What about the other virtual servers? What about those? How can we connect those? The solution would be, either we can keep on adding network cards, physical network cards per virtual machine, or we can go for virtual switch. What does virtual switch do? If we have a virtual switch, and let's make it purple. So virtual switch number 1, virtual switch number 2. So we are dedicating one virtual switch for Toronto, one virtual switch for New York. So rule of thumb, again, either you can bind one virtual machine to the physical network card, or one virtual switch to a physical network card. But with virtual switch you can attach any number of virtual machines, right? So if we want all three virtual machines to connect to the outside world, we need to connect these virtual machines to, so these are the New York virtual machines. So we're gonna connect it to the New York virtual switch. So these machines are going for the New York virtual switch, and these Toronto virtual machines are going for the Toronto virtual switch. So, and again we're going to connect these virtual switch. So this network card is connected to the New York virtual. So this New York virtual switch is connecting to the physical network card of this Hyper-V server. This physical network card is connected to the physical switch, which is connecting to the New York branch. So what we are doing again, this New York file server, this New York file server, and this New York file server are connected to the New York virtual switch. And then what? This New York virtual switch is connected to the physical network card, and then what? This physical network card is connected to this physical switch, and this physical switch is connected to New York branch, right? So the same thing happens for this one now. So Toronto physical switch is connected to the physical network card here. This physical network card is connected to the Toronto virtual switch. This Toronto virtual switch is connected to the Toronto file server virtual machines, right? So that's how we can create all this mess. Okay, not mess. It's actually a configuration.
So they cannot see in the New York folder. Or no?
If we create a VLAN, if we understand what's VLAN,
Yes.
we can actually, yes, these Toronto virtual machines cannot communicate with New York virtual machines while they stay in one physical server, and New York virtual machines cannot communicate with the Toronto virtual machines. If we want to make it that way, yes, it is possible. So we can have a totally separate flow of traffic for New York virtual machines, and we can have a totally flow of traffic of Toronto virtual machines, right, to the physical switch. So anyone can explain me in your own words now what's going on here on this messy lines.
The switches are connected to the server's network interface card.
Network
We're
interface cards.
using a logical switch to
The terminology.
we're using
Virtual
a
switch.
virtual
Virtual switch. Virtual switch. Where so physical network card is connected to a virtual switch. A virtual switch is connected to a virtual machine.
Okay.
Exact same thing going on in VMware. Concept wise, interface is different. The terminology is different. Exact same logic is going on here in the Hyper-V. Virtual machines connect to virtual switch. Virtual switches connect to
Physical LAN.
physical network card. So now if I just type it like this, that will be much clearer. So VM, so virtual machine to virtual switch, and virtual switch to physical NIC, and physical NIC connects to physical switch, and physical switch connects to other branch. So now can we understand now that this is a scenario we're going to work on now. So virtual machine connects to virtual switch here, virtual switch connects to the physical network card, physical network card connects to the physical switch. So the flow of traffic is totally separate from virtual environment to the physical environment, totally separate flow of traffic. How can we achieve that now? We're going to do it now. So let's go ahead and try to do that. I created that diagram much better for the other class. Somehow it got messed up. So if I just want to create this diagram quickly, so I'm just gonna not talk much about it. I'm just gonna quickly create that, and I'm just changing the switch now this time. But if the lines are different, it's not that much understandable. So, and we can have this our scenario, and our virtual machines also. If we just go for this, so virtual machine number 1 and virtual machine number 2 and virtual machine number 3 here, and then we have, okay, they should not be DC, seriously. So that's going to be now easier to understand. And then there is that virtual machines here. So now we're going to create that. I'm going to start creating the diagram with this. So we already have network cards. So if we have network card, so we know have we seen the network cards before? Everyone? Yeah. so much tired of it, so network
Tired
card.
of the word, looking word network.
Okay, so the network cards are actually connected to this. So if we start messing up more realistic view here, messing up or creating, so one network card is already there. Okay, one network card here, and this is a physical NIC. That's why I want to create it as a physical. There's two physical NICs that we need now, and virtual switches are already there. So virtual switch, what diagrams? Okay, these are just anything that's virtual. In fact, this is a very good diagram of it's showing that. But anyway, we will create a virtual switch later. So now let's create our physical network and try to fill these gaps here. The only thing we are trying to do here is we're separating a physical traffic inside the virtual environment as well. So New York switch and physical switch. I just need to make sure that this is the case, and Toronto physical switch. Okay, let's just create that. So we are imagining there are two physical switches. Now let's go for our Hyper-V environment, and it is working, right? So Hyper-V environment, and just start creating switches now. So first thing we are doing here is that we are inside the Hyper-V environment and external switch. So what is private switch? So let's go for easier switches first. Private switch is, it lets two virtual machines communicate with each other. Private virtual switch.
Is that a VLAN?
No. So virtual machines do not communicate outside Hyper-V, but
Local.
it's local, exactly. So let's create that private virtual switch. So if I go and click create virtual switch, and I go for private vSwitch. So this is the private vSwitch. All you need to do is click the private and click virtual switch, and then apply and OK. Now we're gonna see that why VMware is leading in the market. When we configure this, we're gonna see some unreliability here. So virtual switch manager, again I'm clicking there, but now I'm making sure that private vSwitch is created, right? So row number 2 is not interested, right? We're not doing that? We're doing that. Oh, you're doing that. Okay, row number 2, student number 2. So Matthew, you're not doing that. So okay, so and the spellings are perfect here. Private, yeah. So it's like yeah. If you go for this private here, hey, wow, the way you work is like cool, man. I thought, hey, that movie is so cool. Oh, sorry, you are actually 20. Oh, God, you were doing that. But okay, multitasking, that's good. So private virtual switch. So we're gonna just create the whole environment now according to what we put in the diagram. So new virtual switch, private, create virtual switch, right? So create virtual switch, we did that already. The private switch is here, right? Let's go again to new virtual switch, this time internal. What's the difference now? So private virtual switch, two virtual machines can talk to each other, and that's it. They cannot talk outside. They cannot talk to the host, Hyper-V. They cannot talk outside the host to our physical network. So internal, it's a little different. Two virtual machines talk to each other and the host, right? File transfer to the host, maybe the DHCP service from the host it can take. So private means just two virtual machines, their private network. Internal means two virtual machines and the host. Now what is external? Wow, the word says it already. Two virtual machines talk to the host and the physical network as well. That's external, right? So two virtual machines in private, two virtual machines just talk to each other. Internal, two virtual machines talk to each other and the host. And external, two virtual machines talk to each other, the host and the external network, right? We need two external switches in the end to actually make that diagram working, which to get that New York and Toronto traffic across from the physical network. But anyway, these are so when we have already created the private switch, right? So internal switch, I'm going to click create virtual switch, and internal, so I'm just going to name it internal vSwitch, and still just click apply and OK. So far so good. When we come down to external, now we're going to salute Hyper-V for its staggering performance. I'm saying it, I mean it in the negative way. So apply, okay, and I'm gonna tell you the reason as well why it's going to do what it's going to do. So let's go for so we created two switches, private, internal. Let's go for virtual switch manager external, right? External, the virtual machines talk to each other, to the host and the physical network, right? Physical network could be, once they reach a physical network, it could be connecting to other branches across the globe as well. So external, create virtual switch again. Now we name it NY virtual switch. New York virtual switch. So New York virtual switch again. Now you see that external card is available. So when we created private switch, it was selected here. So no physical card you needed to bind to that. Internal, again, no physical card needed, although we could have connected that. When we connect a physical network card, it means that whichever virtual machine is connecting to this virtual switch needs to communicate outside, needs to access internet, needs to communicate with other users across the physical network, right? So are we able to do that now? We have just one. Anyone seeing two network cards here? Just one network card, right? So one network card, okay, and we are binding. We're gonna try to bind that too, or we're gonna just click apply. Hey, create an external switch, and we're binding to this physical network card. So apply. It says that this computer may lose its network connection while the changes are applied. This may affect any network operations. We don't have current network operations going on, so press yes. And behold the error. Capiche? Like this. So failed while adding virtual switch. There is a reason for that. External Ethernet adapter, Intel blah blah blah, gigabit blah blah blah, is already bound to the Microsoft Virtual Switch protocol. We need to first delete this physical network card, and then attach it to our external switch. It is already bound to the virtual Hyper-V, Microsoft protocol. So it is already connected to the whole Hyper-V, environment. So we need to delete this virtual network card. This network card is showing here, network card. What we need to do here, so close this. And if I go to the diagram here, we are creating a virtual switch here. We're going to create a virtual switch here, which looks like this. If anyone doesn't like orange, let me know. I'll change the color, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, orange. Oh, God, man. What's wrong with you? Anyway, sorry. Just kidding. So we're creating a virtual switch. It is already bound. This physical network card is bound to this Hyper-V installation here. So we need to delete this physical network card, which means it's just gets unbound or not connected to the Hyper-V. Then we need to connect or bound this virtual switch to this physical network card. That's what we're trying to attempt now. That we are creating an external virtual switch here, and we need to connect or bind or permanently connect this virtual switch to the physical network card, right? That physical network card is not letting us do that right now. So we need to delete that network card or disconnect its connectivity with the current Hyper-V installation and connect it to our virtual switch we want, which is New York virtual switch, right? Then later, if this is successful, then we're going to go for the second virtual external switch. We're going to name it Toronto, and we're going to add a second network card and exactly make a connection with that. So this will be our step-by-step connectivity, but right now, main purpose, two external virtual switches. So first, let's just resolve our first issue here, that it's not binding to the physical network card. Okay, let's go back here. So why are we doing that? Anyone knows that? External virtual switch, for New York, I'm creating and trying to bind with my physical network card. Why?
For the outcome.
So whichever virtual machine connects to this switch will have communication to the physical network card. And if any virtual machine has a communication with the physical network card, they can get internet, they can communicate with the outside branch, they can communicate with the outside world, right? So we're gonna create 6 virtual machines after that, right? Which will be empty virtual machines, so we can keep on creating it. We can go crazy. We can go hyper, right? Anyway, so we are going to go hyper now because the number of errors that's about to come now, we're gonna go hyper anyway. So let's just try to, so click here, click, everyone sees one network card here, right? We're gonna go just step by step. One network card, click remove. Everyone sees remove? If you see a network card here, Intel, click that and remove. When you click remove, gives error. That's not fair. I mean, that's good actually.
Now you.
Come on, it's
because you're currently connecting.
well. Even if you cancel out and come back here and try to just delete the network card, try to do that. Hey, it's where's the thing?
It's gone.
No, when I click remove, we need to click apply, right?
Yeah, I did.
The first time?
Yeah.
Man, you have some internal. You don't know your own powers right now. So, okay, apply this full. Message comes that if there any virtual machine connected, that's not gonna work. Blah blah blah. We say yeah, whatever. We are just deleting you. So there you go. Okay, this comes. We're trying to delete a network card, so we could reconnect that network card to an external switch. Oh, seriously, it worked. Woohoo! Okay. I also don't know your own powers. So what? No errors? Okay. Lucky day. Okay. What we did, we disconnected our physical network card to our Hyper-V. Now we're gonna connect the physical network card to our New York virtual switch. So, virtual switch manager again. Seriously? Okay. Move. Let me just remove that because. No, now I want everyone seeing this. If you haven't already gone through this, you should only have private and internal. Yes. You should.
New York as well?
You already created that New York.
Yeah.
It is bound to that network card. If it is there and bound, okay, don't remove that. So when you click the New York switch, the network card Intel, if it is showing there, Intel as well. Intel is not showing.
Yes, Intel on.
Yeah, you're good. So it is. You already have a working New York switch connected, bound to a physical network card. I did not, or I had, but I'm removing it just to show how to create after deleting that network card. How to add that. So I'm just going to go to new virtual switch here and click external and create virtual switch. Right. So now I'm gonna go a bit quicker. NY virtual switch, and this is the network card I want to connect to. So please work Microsoft and apply and press yes and okay. Yay, I got an error. Seriously, I got an error. Okay, so no, it's not like I was trying to get an error. See, what happened to your powers? Come on. Oh, just kidding. So internal error, it doesn't lead us to anything. It just means that, poem or the saying we give to our kids, if once you fail, try again. So that's where we go hyper. Like what? So if this comes, there's another reason we did not install all the Windows updates because it will just increase size of our virtual machine. So apply, I'm just gonna click apply, I'm not going anywhere else, press yes. In 3 or 4 attempts, it just works. That's crazy, right? Oh, it works. Okay. Or you can close and open and do that again and it's gonna work. Sometimes in some of the classes, it took me like 7 attempts. Again, try, 7th time, then I close, then 2 times error again, then 10th time on the 2nd attempt, it just worked. So right now, there is some powerful entity among us. Because of that, no error is coming again. Otherwise, it's crazy. Anyway, what we have here is New York virtual switch attached to one physical network card, but we need another Toronto virtual switch connected to another physical network card, but we have just one network card. So let's add a second network card here, and so I'm going to press OK here. Where do we add the network card?
Here. Settings.
To the physical. So the VMware virtual machine is the physical server for this Hyper-V, right? So we're going to go to the settings of the virtual machine, which is playing as a physical server role for this Hyper-V. So settings, we already know how to create disks. We did that in the last lab, RAID 1, RAID 5. So click add, network adapter, next. I would just look where is my current network, VMnet 12. So I'm just gonna add this as VMnet 12, which is just another network adapter, right? So now if we have an extra network card, press OK. That's easy, right? But now after this, we should be seeing another network adapter option when we start creating another virtual switch. So yeah, that was 30 on, right? I'm just kidding. I'm not counting. Come on, man. Okay, anyway. So yes, second network adapter. Now we know what to do. Create a second virtual switch, external virtual switch for Toronto. So I'm just going to go to Virtual Switch Manager again after adding the second network adapter. Virtual Switch Manager. Okay, I clicked you. Yes, you. Virtual Switch Manager. Yeah. Okay. Oh, now it understood. So we already have NVIS virtual switch. So I'm just going to go to new virtual switch here up and create Toronto virtual switch. Took what? Oh man, now it's giving that error. So keep trying again, man. You can do it. Yeah. External. So the whole scenario is, we can revise that. The whole scenario is the internal virtual machines should have separate traffic flow from within the virtual machine environment to the physical switches. Totally separate flow of network, right? So when I try to create a new external Toronto virtual switch, which is external, so now I have the third network card, right? Everyone should be seeing that, right? So the extra network card now, I'm just gonna add that number 3. I can know that this is the other one, not the number 2 I want to use because I used it already with the New York one. So once this is selected, apply, yes, and rely on Raj's powers, right? Okay, well, so because you never had errors in the start, okay. Rely again, it's okay. Apply, yes, yeah, it happens. So I think this is happening because we did not install all the Windows updates for that. Oh, it worked. Cool. Woohoo. So press OK. Now if I go to Virtual Switch Manager, do everyone see, Toronto Virtual Switch and New York Virtual Switch? Okay, good, right? So if we go to the diagram here, what we have achieved till now is that we have done virtual switch. So this is, now I'm gonna attempt this stunt of trying to write with my mouse and NY and TOR. So it requires a lot of discipline, and it requires whatever. Okay, so this is what we did. Now next action would be, next task would be create 6 virtual machines, 6, connect 3 of them to Toronto virtual switch, connect the rest of the 3 to New York virtual switch. Now, and we need to name the machines TOR1, TOR2, TOR3 for Toronto virtual switch, NY1, NY2, NY3 for New York virtual switch. So one by one. And now we can see that since we configured our network perfectly, our virtual machine would know, or we would know which switch to connect our virtual machine to. So 3 Tor 1, Tor 2, Tor 3, NY1, NY2, NY3. So let's go ahead and create that. So if I go back to my our virtual environment, so press OK. Now we have all the switches ready that will let the virtual machines communicate outside world and in a organized manner. So I'm right clicking this server 2, new and virtual machine, right? So once we go to virtual machine, now we need to understand first, this is the first we're creating, so we need to at least understand this one. Then the next are just the same steps. Next, so first the name of the virtual machine, obviously just going for Tor 1 first. The name is Tor 1. Next, now there is generation 1 and generation 2. Generation 1 is backward compatibility. This means if you have already Hyper-V environment of Windows 2008, then you can create generation 1 machine here. So you can transfer or migrate from Windows 2012 Hyper-V to Windows 2008 Hyper-V, right? So that's generation, but we don't want the, for now, backward compatibility. We don't have a Windows 2008 Hyper-V. So generation 2, which supports a lot of new features which we're going to test or try to talk about that, but generation 2 is for Windows 2012 Hyper-V virtual machines, which supports latest features. So generation 2. Next, okay, we're just gonna give 512 megabyte of RAM. Our total system RAM is, I think, 2.6 GB, right? So, or I think it's 4 GB. If I go to my virtual machine and just check the memory here, yeah, it's 4 GB, but it's still saying that from 32 megabyte to 26, 42 megabyte or 2.6 GB you can give as a limit for this virtual machine. But we're just gonna leave it to 512. We're not installing an operating system inside the machine for now, right? We don't have enough memory in the physical machines to install operating system. So we're going to use dynamic memory. What does that mean? Dynamically, yeah, expanding dynamically. So if it needs more, it will get more. Otherwise, it will come back to 512, right?
I'm getting a fail to create hard drive on
Where?
virtual machines for year 1.
Which is the first one, right?
No.
Second one?
Fourth.
Oh, the fourth one. Why the fourth one? I mean, like, what's the error?
Fail to create the virtual hard disk.
Are there C details as well? Further details?
Fail to create virtual hard disk.
Okay, that was a very good detail, Microsoft. So just same sentence again. No, maybe that name is already being used. Maybe that's the case. So 3 Tor 1, Tor 2, Tor 3, and NY1, NY2, NY3. Maybe the same name is there. So use dynamic. So memory will be automatically given and taken, right? Next. Now it is Tor 1. So the switch, when we drop down to the connection, the switch is Toronto Virtual Switch because it's a Tor 1 machine, right? So Toronto Virtual Switch. And this virtual switch could be given to hundreds of virtual machines, right? One virtual switch created, that's it. So next, yes, the hard disk name is VHDX. This is extension because it's a Windows 2012 Hyper-V virtual machine hard disk. If it was Windows 2008 Hyper-V virtual machine, it would have been VHD only, but it is VHDX because it's 2012. Okay, next, nothing to change here. Yes, create a hard disk for me and install an operating system later. We don't want to install operating system inside this because we're already going nested virtualization inside virtualization. So next and finito. So that's going to create our first virtual machine inside our Hyper-V, which is inside VMware Workstation, which is on top of our Windows 7. Okay, anyway, so now Tor 1, I need to just quickly see the hard disk size of my computer because I don't want to run out of that, and the video recording will stop as well if I did that. So if I go for this PC, still have 12 gigs. Good. Okay, enough. So I'm just gonna go quickly to creating a second virtual machine, new virtual machine. Now I'm gonna create 6, so 3 Tor 1, Tor 2, Tor 3, and 3 New York, NY1, NY2, NY3. Switches have to be correspondingly the same as per the virtual machine. So next, Tor 2, next, generation 2, next, 512 MB, use dynamic memory, next, since it's a Toronto machine, so Toronto Virtual Switch, next, install operating system later. So now we know the drill. We can just go quickly on new virtual machine, next, Tor 3, next, generation 2 to use the latest features of Windows 2012 Hyper-V, dynamic, so it could give and take memory as per need, Toronto virtual switch, next, finito. Now the same for New York one, so NY1 as well. We're gonna later do some more testing on these 6 virtual machines. Next, NY1, next, use dynamic, next. So this time New York NY virtual switch, and next, finito. So now when we create a lot of virtual machines, it gets boring, definitely, but we will be experimenting some more stuff here. NY2, generation 2, use dynamic, New York virtual switch, next, yes, create that hard disk name as a machine name, next, finish. And the last one, which is next, and NY3, next, generation 2, dynamic, connected to New York, next, finish. So we have 3 machines connected to Toronto, 3 machines connected to New York, and we have connected through virtual switch. So if I go back to the diagram here, what we are effectively doing is regulating the traffic in an organized manner, and within one physical server we are still separately letting the traffic go ahead. So if I go with the traffic, so New York virtual machines are above, which are connecting to the New York virtual switch, and New York virtual switch is connected to the physical network card of Hyper-V, and the physical network card is going for the New York virtual switch. So that's the New York machines connected to, and then the Toronto machines, which is connected to the Toronto virtual switch, which is in turn connected to the physical network card, which is connected to the Toronto physical switch. Now that's more organized, right, from the last messed up lines. Okay, so and those are connected to their respective branches. So one virtual environment, you can regulate easily all the traffic. Maybe there are more branches, maybe there are London branch as well. So you can just create one more network card, create one more virtual switch, and London users can connect to their own London virtual machines. Just keep adding, make it bigger. If your physical server here supports that many virtual machines, if your memory, processor, hard disk is big enough or better enough, right? So this really shows how it is really working here. So if I go and last time I also worked hard to create this diagram and I just lost it. This time I'm just putting that here. Hey, this is the diagram we're working on. So I'm just gonna put it in front of you here like that. And this is just a mental note for next classes. No, actual physical note for next classes as well. This is the thing. I don't want to create the whole thing again and again for every new class. Okay, so now what do? We have worked on the network side. Let's go and quickly do the storage side, right? So storage side, there are 2 new features that we need to discuss and implement. So I'm going to show you how to implement those 2 features. One feature is called differencing, and the second feature is called pass-through. So differencing or differential hard disk. So differential hard disk is this. It's a very simple concept of differential hard disk or differencing disk. the first disk is already having operating system, right? So second disk, after you install the second disk as a differencing disk, what you do is, or what will automatically start happening is, the new software from now on that you install in that computer will automatically be redirected to the differencing disk. And what's the benefit of that?
Sorry, say that again?
Okay, so it's so captivating, yeah. But differencing disk, so you install MS Office,
Yeah.
Adobe Acrobat or whatever, and it installs on the first disk. But you have a fear that it's going to fill up. Just to save that filling up, and just to save from extra modifications, daily modifications that are being done and saved on the same hard disk, you add a second disk, but you have to go through the wizard of differencing disk. So as soon as you install the second disk through this wizard, any new software is automatically going to be saved or installed in the second disk, which means the first disk will never be filled up because of the new installations, and second disk should take all the new software installations and new additions to the operating system. So this space will never run out from this first disk, and that is also called parent disk, the first disk, and the second disk, difference disk, is a child disk. So let's do that quickly. The wizard shows how to create a differencing disk. If I go back to this Hyper-V environment and right click, so we are going for new hard disk this time. Till now we were playing with a virtual machine. Now we create a new hard disk, right? Again the same, right click, server 2, new hard disk. Then the wizard starts. Next, of course we need a VHDX which supports 64 terabyte. If it's VHD, it just supports 2 terabyte, right? So VHDX, and then next, now it says you want fixed disk. Fixed disk just means that it's going to occupy your physical disk space. Dynamic disk, whatever you install, it's going to occupy. Differencing is this. So we go next. Yeah, so differencing, third one. Next, and here we can just name it. So specify the name. So diff 1. So differencing disk. But we're going to connect either to NY1 or TOR1. It's up to us, but it's going to ask in the NAS window. So first the name of the disk and where you want to install on the same location where all the other disks are. Next, now it says specify the virtual disk that you want to use as the parent for this new differencing disk. So I can click browse here and choose any one of them. So let's just go for TOR1. Now TOR1.vhdx will have a differencing disk attached to that when we start that machine, and if we have an operating system we can actually check that as well. I would recommend that you please do test that at home. Next, and that's it, finito. So all we did was add a new disk, virtual disk, and attach it to any currently running virtual machine disk. So currently running virtual machine disk will be the parent disk, and this differencing disk will be the child disk of that parent disk. And we understand the purpose of that, and from now on any new installations will be going to the differencing disk instead of the parent disk, right? Second main feature here is the pass-through disk, and in this we pass through safely. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, it's a pass-through disk is all about. Now this is even more interesting concept here. That pass-through disk. Hey, can we pass through, please? Thank you. Okay, so pass-through disk on the host we need to have. Okay, that's the lab actually. Pass-through disk. If I go back to the diagram here and pass through all this mess. Okay, so suppose this virtual machine you decided to install a very heavy application like SQL Server or that Exchange Server, and now so you insisted, hey, virtualization is the solution only, sir, and the boss said, hey, up to you, I'm gonna see you if something happens. So now you install Exchange Server, which is working for, provides emails. So many users are connected, many connections are being connected here. Many are connected, and they're saying it's a very bad performance. when I'm trying to open my mailbox, it's not opening. It's Outlook is opening very slow here. So then you try to monitor this virtual machine, and you see that, oh, okay, so memory is full, processing is full, many users are connecting, so it's overall bad performance. So you increase the memory, still you see bad performance. Then you realize that the hard disk it is running out of, that hard disk is actually coming from SAN, right? And that's the case with every virtual machine. That's supposed to be it. So it's coming from SAN, which means that when users save their data is not being saved in local disks here in the physical machine, right? Their data is actually being saved in SAN, which is traveling over the network, and it's a huge data. So pass-through disk just means that, hey, let this virtual machine use the local disk of this physical server. As soon as you avoid using the network for the read and writes of the disks, and the virtual machine gets direct access to the local disk of the physical server, the performance boost is obvious. The performance will be very good. It's a local disk and it's an SSD, so it's just like, just like you're working on a local disk. Of course, that's what I just said. So anyway, this is a local disk here. So pass-through disk, the only thing is that you just give the virtual machine access to the physical disk that is locally connected to that physical server, and that's in rare cases that it's not even allowed in the organization. So what's the one drawback you see right now? There is a drawback as well to this. There's a sorry no redundancy. Exactly. This server goes down, you're gone. This data is gone. Exactly. So either this disk was on RAID 1 or RAID 5, okay, still you have a chance. But still, if the whole server goes down, the data is still locally available, not remotely on a SAN disk. Where the data, if was available, you can just tolerate the server is down, the data is still safe. It never was there anyway. But now you put it locally for the performance. Just make sure that the server stays up. Anyway, how to configure a pass-through disk? So for this, in a virtual machine, let me first show you where's the pass-through disk option, and then we go and try to check it out. So if suppose New York 3 machine has an Exchange server or SQL server, a heavy application, I right click New York 3 machine here and go to settings here. In the settings, I can go to hard drive. It shows. So in one of the virtual machine settings, we can go to the hard drive. The physical disk option is, we cannot even select that option, right? Anyone can? No. So what do we need to do? Obviously, add one physical disk. I mean, in our case, it's still a virtual disk, but for the Hyper-V, it's a physical disk, because Hyper-V is running on top of the VMware Workstation virtual machine. Virtual machine is the physical server for this Hyper-V. So we're gonna add a new disk to this. So I'm gonna right click this virtual machine, VMware virtual machine, and I'm going to add, wow, we already have so many disks, but we're gonna add one more disk here. Hard disk is already selected, so next, yes, default, next, yes, create a new disk, and the size, just give any size, 200, whatever. It's dynamic anyway. Whatever you install, it's going to just upgrade that, right? So next, and finito. So we have a hard disk here, but we will not format it, right? Let's just close this machine settings. We already added the hard disk, right? So I think we need to still bring it on and online, but keep it unallocated. So I'm just gonna check still the virtual machine and the hard drive. See this? Are you able to click it now? Right after adding a new disk, you can actually use it now. So this machine has a direct connectivity with the local disk, locally added disk now. and you can start the virtual machine, install the operating system, install Exchange Server, and there you go. You have connectivity with the local disk, and it's much. It's like, you know, you have a physical machine with local disk, but it's actually a virtual machine. So that's one of the scenarios as well. It's also a scenario in VMware, but it's called a different technology there, different feature there. Apply, okay. So we could always check if we install an operating system here and check these two features. So these are the storage, and we can also edit disk and shrink and expand disk. That works the same way as in RAID 1 and 2 we did. But main things are virtual switch manager and the storage of this Hyper-V that we work on, right? So these are the two major areas. We're gonna still touch some more of on the next class on Thursday. Very small things, and then we go ahead with the next labs. But this is what we have now, so I'm just gonna upgrade it, upload it, and then, you know, and please, screenshots for previous videos are still remaining. It's 10 o'clock. Have a good night. Any questions, let me know. And screenshots, please repeat all the labs at home.